ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local win, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Monday, February 22nd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling the White phone line. That's right, the White Claw phone line at 877-420-TALK. That's 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer, made pure, coming up tonight at about 5:15. Let's just go ahead and give it a time. Tony Kemper is going to join us on the program. I said the other day that it would be really good if Marshall could get a split. A sweep would have been fantastic, but Rice is a very good team. They're an excellent team in Conference USA. And so I was hoping maybe the Herd could get a split. And so what does the Herd do? First night, doesn't go the Herd's way. Second night, and this has kind of been a pattern. I'm going to talk to Coach Kemper about this in the next few minutes. It feels like, okay, the team figures it out, gets a feel for the opponent, and then second game comes out and finds a way to win. Doesn't happen all the time, but for the Thundering Herd, they've been really good. In that second half, I think they're making adjustments. I think the teams finally figure out that, we can play. And if this isn't a confidence booster, I don't know what is. You beat Rice, previously undefeated in conference. You can't tell me you can't go out there with any confidence now and think, okay, we can play with anybody. In this conference tournament coming up, in this league, we can play with anybody. There's nobody that we can't play with in the tournament or in the league in the regular season. And so, big confidence booster. We're going to hear from Coach Kemper in the next few minutes. As I mentioned, we'll get your phone calls in as we have got our producer behind the glass this afternoon taking those calls at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. So, what else happened for the Thundering Herd? Well, it was a good weekend for the Herd. You split with Rice. That's the big one there. The men, of course, were off. Didn't have a chance to play. The Thundering Herd now getting set for North Texas. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but with the situation in Texas, you never know what the weather's going to be like here the next few days. Team could possibly have to deal with COVID again. You don't know. So I'm not at that point yet where I'm thinking, okay, this isn't going to happen. But with what has happened this season so far, if they get this thing off, I'll be happy. To be honest with you, if they can get this game off, the next two, I will be happy because the Thundering Herd won't have to go on the road until the conference tournament. That's the good news. Marshall can play, get ready for the tournament, maybe go on a run, win the next four, go into the conference tournament pretty strong, have a chance to win that thing, and then get to the NCAA tournament. Whatever happens, Marshall's got a shot at it, but Marshall's going to have to, of course, get some games in first. That's the biggie. That's the big thing. So we've got that to get ready for this week. But if you look back on the weekend, what did the Thundering Herd do? Well, first of all, soccer team, and I think a rout is 10-1. You call that a rout? Do you come up with a different name? They beat West Virginia Tech 10-1. Is there a mercy rule? 10-1 seems pretty good here. 2 in the first, 8 in the second for 10 total. Tech scored 1 in the first. I guess that ticked the Herd off that Tech scored on them. So Marshall just piled in on them. And then what we thought would happen is Coach Ari Agnes, she seems to have her ladies well positioned to go and just beat people. Marshall volleyball team earned a consecutive sweep over FIU. 5-1 now, 3-1 in league play. Now the Panthers are 1-6 overall, and they're 1-5 in league play. But still, Marshall gets the sweep back-to-back here over FIU, and the Thundering Herd continues on gearing up for their assault of the volleyball standing. So, this is probably early, but 5-1 overall, 3-1 in conference play. This might be the team that's going to contend, or at least it's going to be one of the teams in the conversation. So we might be seeing Marshall volleyball here real soon, making some noise if they can keep this up. If you can go several weeks, maybe not losing, sweeps would be nice, but winning, improving that record, we could be talking about Marshall volleyball here real soon, making a push. Wouldn't it be nice if Marshall volleyball got to the postseason? Wouldn't that be nice? Soccer, we hope, makes that happen. Volleyball, we hope, makes that happen. We hope that the Marshall men can do it in the tournament, and we hope that Tony Kemper, the head coach of the Marshall women's team, can do that on the road in the conference tournament as well for his ladies. And we're going to talk to Coach Kemper in the next few minutes, so we'll talk to him. Don't forget, we'll get your phone calls in 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Big win. I don't know where he puts that in his personal achievements column. Is that one of his best all time? Where does he rank that at personally for him? So we're going to find out where he puts that and look ahead. I mean, now the question is, can you duplicate that? Can you do that again? Can you go out and play like you did, knowing that is there going to be a team left on the schedule that's just as good as Rice? I'm going to answer that for you quickly. No. There's not going to. I mean, Rice is the premier team in Conference USA in women's basketball. You've got road trips against North Texas and Middle Tennessee, and I'm thinking those are winnable. To be honest with you, I'm thinking those are winnable, maybe both of them. So Coach Kemper joins us on the other side of the break. We will get your phone calls in later on at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Here in a moment, hope to hear from the head coach himself, Tony Kemper. We're trying to get him on the phone right now. So until then, we'll take time for your phone calls at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Thundering Herd women beating Rice in Conference USA action, 68-56. And it was one of those efforts that, if you look at how Rice and Marshall came to this, Marshall outscored them 23-4 in the fourth. You go into this just dominating that fourth completely. And unfortunately for Rice, they just got steamrolled by Marshall in that fourth. So Marshall improving to 6-8, 5-7 in Conference USA. I mean, Rice had only lost previously one other time, and they're now 9-1 in Conference USA. They're absolutely one of the best teams in Conference USA. And unfortunately for them, they're no longer perfect. Fortunately for the Herd, Marshall gets that big win. So we're trying to reach Coach Kemper. We're going to get him on the program here in the next few minutes as we are efforting him. And again, you can be a part of the program as well. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Swann. You can also find us on Facebook. We have a show page and a group as well. So the Thundering Herd in action next week, going to be on the road. We will, of course, if we don't get hold of Coach Kemper today, we will talk to him here in the next few days. So right now, efforting him. That is what we are doing. I really had him, that this was my time. I budgeted for him. We will wait. We will wait for Coach Kemper. He deserves us to wait on him today, as that's a big win. Really is. I mean, what's that do for the Herd now? I think it gives them momentum for the tournament. The tournament's probably going to be a lot more interesting if Marshall can, over the next few games, pick up some wins here. And you look at North Texas. Can Marshall beat North Texas? Can the Thundering Herd beat the Mean Green? I think so. Now, you got to go to Texas. You got to go. And again, you have a situation here where what's it going to look like as far as is the conditions going to be fine? Is there going to be any hiccups here? Is there going to be any travel problems? Is there going to be power issues? All of that. And we got several days to hopefully sort all of that out, as Texas has definitely taken a beating with the Arctic air and the polar vortex. That's our issue right now. That's the concern. But North Texas, the next opponent for the women. And, of course, again, trying to get Coach Kemper on, and we are efforting him as we speak. His phone is getting blown up by our cracked staff. Let's put it this way. Our staff is blowing his phone up as we speak right now. Completely. So he's either in a meeting or something. I don't know where he's at, but we're going to get him on the show. And, of course, we're going to hopefully this week have Marshall men's basketball to talk about, as Marshall will take on North Texas as well, the Thundering Herd at home. It's going to be nice to actually have some home matchups. Marshall in action at the Cam Henderson Center, playing, hopefully getting I'm hoping we see Marshall sweep the next four. That's what I'm looking for here, because, again, Marshall doesn't have to go on the road anymore. It's over. Marshall is set at home. Till the conference tournament, no more travel. So you can play your game on the 26th, the 27th, and then you swing back and do it again on March 5th and 6th. Those are the makeup games with Charlotte, and then after that, you're off to the Conference USA tournament. If you can get those games, so that's my only concern, if you can get those games in. That's the only thing I'm concerned about right now. Because I'd hate to see a Thundering Herd team go into the conference tournament with a prolonged layover. And again, there's not saying that these games aren't going to happen, but with everything that we've gone through, COVID-19, the weather conditions, anything that can possibly prevent a game from happening, we've seen happen. And so that's where we're at right now with this schedule. Unfortunately, we won't know for a few days. These things sometimes depend on the final couple of days. If there's an idea early that, okay, we can't do this, we'll find out. But you got to wait. You got to hope, okay, your tests come back. You got to hope your tests come back and you're all good there, or you got to hope that their tests come back and we're all good there. And then you got to put yourself in a situation where let's play. Let's get this going. And North Texas is going to travel. Okay, so I think we're going to have Coach Kemper on the program here in a minute. That's what it sounds like. So let us welcome to the program now the head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team, and I've been filibustering for several minutes now to talk to him. Tony Kemper. Man, I don't have any film material prepared today, man. I was blocking out 50 minutes for you.
Listen, I apologize for that. I don't do that often.
You can do anything you want. You can do whatever you want.
I was in the middle of something that I thought was important at the time, and then I was sitting there going, you didn't call me from your number, so I don't have this one saved in there, and it kind of threw me for a loop. But I'm here now, and we're still having a good day. We girls had a day off, so they're getting to relive a pretty nice win for our program, and this year it felt good to finish the way we did.
Did they get ice cream
and stuff like that?
Ice cream, right?
Well, we talked about this before. Coronavirus kind of gets the ice cream parties.
But you can get them ice cream and not eat it with them. Come on.
It's all hard in 2021. That's all I'll tell you. Everything's hard. One at a time through the drive-through, and then you got to swipe the card that many. It's tough. It's tough. So they got some hugs and pretty good celebration, and I was proud of them. I mean, that's a really good basketball team, and they kind of had us in a tough place, and you try to sit over there on the side and try to figure out what the path is, and our players just chose. We just won't let them score again, and we'll see how that goes. And it went pretty well, so I'm proud of them.
I was going to ask you, what do you think the major difference was between Friday and Saturday? You look at the score on Friday and you think, okay, this is going to be a tough weekend for Coach Kemper and the team, and then Saturday. you mentioned they just decided at one point we're not going to let them score anymore. I mean, was it just they were mad? Had they figured them out? What happened to make this go your way?
Yeah, if I knew, we would push that button every time. I mean, I think Friday they're really good. I mean, they've only lost at number 10 Texas A&M, or I don't know what Texas A&M is ranked, but that's their only loss of the year, and they led in the final minute. So they beat Texas Tech by 20 at Texas Tech. I mean, they're really good. They're 41-3 in Conference USA in the last 3 years. I think, and in saying all that, the reason why, or one of the reasons why, they have a 6'9" center, and she's legitimately 6'9", and that is just something that you can't simulate that in practice. You try to talk through what it's going to be like and things like that, but when you get in that game and her length and the things that they can do defensively because of it, you just can't. You talk about how you're going to counter it, and it's still a little bit, I think, shocking when you get in there. And I thought we just kind of started on Friday timidly and really just got ourselves in such a hole that even though I thought we competed pretty well defensively, we could never really mount much of a sustained comeback or whatever you want to call it. But I do think our team gained some confidence. If you look at basically once we got it to half, we might even have won the second half on the Friday game or the Saturday game. Sorry, I'm getting my Saturday confused because we actually had to bump it back because of all the snow. But we might have won the second half in that first game. Came out well on Sunday, hit a lot more shots early, and then kind of it didn't go great in the middle of it for us, the second quarter, third quarter. But we hung in there, and we didn't. We made just enough shots to keep it 8 or 9, and then we just really got to cooking in the fourth quarter. And I don't know what it was. There was no. Everybody asks me all the time, "What'd you tell them?" I mean, I probably gave them a play and told them to hang in there, and we made a couple shots. I think Kristen Mayo stuck a 3. And then we just started to get a whole bunch of stops. And I don't think they scored for the last 4-12. And I think we put an 18-0 run on them to end the game. And I just think it was being tough-minded and trying to find a way to get a big win. And they finally got it done.
Do you take that win now, and when you talk with them after the glow of this game moves on? I mean, I'm sure you're going to be smiling for the rest of the season on this one, but you can't take this and just say, okay, we did that, we're going to go take the next one. I mean, do you point out to them, okay, you're going to have to apply all of that to the next game, but you can, and you just beat the best team in the league, so there's no reason why you can't?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I think one of the things that we're trying not to. I was asked in the press conference after the Saturday game, is this David versus Goliath? And it's not. I mean, they're just a really good team in our league, and our program needs to figure out a way to compete with them. We need to find a way to win. And I guess it took us we had 23 hours, about probably 21 hours by the time I said that, to figure that out. And so I think you make a valid point. It's not, the glow of this win is not going to be here for the rest of the season. We got to get back to work on North Texas. And, we actually play our strength of schedule in conferences. It's a bear. Rice was first in the West. We now have second in the West, and then we finish at Middle Tennessee, which is first in the East. So we knew, and we've been preaching this for a long time, we've got to be pretty sharp at the end of the year to go compete with the teams that we're going to play. So I think it was a good step forward in that, and they should have learned a lot about what they're capable of. And we also need to take the idea that we're not done. So we'll see how much we learned, Friday when we're in Denton.
Speaking of that, any early indication that there's going to be any problems with that? I know Texas right now is defrosting from all of their problems. seems like everything going well so far. No early indication that there might be some schedule postponements, move it back, or anything of that nature.
No, I think we're good. I mean, North Texas hasn't said anything to us, and I guess what we have checked with hotels and different people like that logistics that we have run down there, and I think their power's all back on for the most part. It seems like they're ready for us. So I haven't. I think barring something else happening down there, I think we're good to go Friday, Saturday.
Tony Kemper, my guest. Marshall splitting with Rice, getting the win on Sunday. That seems to be your MO. I know you want to, at some point, make sure that when you get to the tournament, that there's no second game that you're going to split with. You want to get that. You want to get that second game win in that first game. Does that just drive you crazy sometimes? That okay, we lose the first one, but we come back and we look really great the second game. Can you put your finger on that? I mean, because really, I can't. I'm thinking that's just great adjustments by you. You see an opponent, and then you make those adjustments. I'm going to give you all the credit.
Yeah, well, I think that you can take the word "you" out of that sentence, and maybe you're right. I think our team does. I do think, and we've been thinking about this a lot. How do we try to get them what they're seeing on, in between? How do we get that before Friday? Because I think it's pretty obvious that, maybe the plan that we have in between games has worked pretty well. It's maybe the preparation in, all the way leading up. And I really don't have a good answer for that. I think that as I'm trying to think about it, I know we have a smart team. We got a group full of smart kids. And I think that that's part of it, that they just get a chance to watch themselves in the moment, and leading up to it, maybe, you're trying to see yourself through other people's sets and how other people attack it. And, as soon as we get some film, then they get to watch themselves and, it's them. And so, I know that helped them in between the games with Rice, because Rice is so unique defensively. You have to be okay shooting more pull-up jumpers. You just can't get the ball to the rim that often. And I think they kind of saw the open pockets better instead of us telling them where they were. I think they, used their experience the night before and then also back it up with film with, okay, that's where that shot needs to be taken from. That's my thing, I think, is just they're pretty smart. So when they get a chance to watch themselves, it's easier for them to, tweak it and make it better.
Tony Kemper joining us on the program, the Thundering Herd splitting. Where do you put this one in your personal pantheon of games, victories, performances? Where do you put this one personally?
Well, as the head coach, it's the best one we've had. I mean, they're really, really good. And, as I told you, you just look at, they're 41-3 in the league. They were 41-2 until they came to Huntington, in the last 3 years. So there's been a whole lot of people that I know, gave them a good shot and couldn't finish it off. And so for our team, I think in a year that I've definitely bemoaned the kind of stuff we've gone through, we do finally have our team together. We have practiced for 2 weeks, and I think this win kind of shows what I think I've been saying all year, which is I think this group is pretty talented. I think they're capable of quite a bit together. We need some time together, and so I'm happy with that. But they're a really good team. They're very well coached. They're very talented, and not a lot of people has gotten done. It didn't matter where, on the road, at home. Not a lot of people has found a way to win against them. So I'm super happy that we found a way to get it done.
As we talked about, North Texas, the next opponent, and they're pretty good as well. I think they're beatable. I can say that because I'm not a head coach. I can say all these forward-looking statements. You got to take it one at a time.
We just learned everybody's beatable, right? We just figured that out. Everybody's beatable.
Everyone is beatable. So. Yes, that is a valid point. Everyone is beatable, but you got to go on the road for 4. At this point, does that phase your team? You got to go on the road for 4 before the tournament?
Well, I think our team is. I think we're building. I think we're, like I just said, we finally have everybody together. We've had a couple weeks of practice. We haven't played great on the road yet, but there's been a lot of in and out and we haven't played a lot of road games this year, and I guess we played it once at Western, and then we played down at Charlotte, and that seems like eons ago that we played at Charlotte. So, we've got our whole squad hopefully, and I think they'll be excited to get to Denton and lace them up again and go compete like they did on Sunday. So I think it's always tougher on the road. There's no question about that. North Texas is very, very good. I think they've only lost 2, or I know they've only lost 2 in conference. But I also know that us at our best can compete with everybody, and we just learned that.
And then you got Middle Tennessee as well. I know we can't look too far ahead, but that'll be the makeup from the series that was postponed. It feels like everything is falling in place at the right time for you, because it doesn't matter, how you get there, but if you get there, and it feels like you're about ready to get there. At least this Rice game showed that you put it all together, you can go far.
Yeah, I think, I actually, we got to find a way to make sure we get to Frisco, and we're locked. If you look at our side, there's a whole bunch of people that are 5-7 or right around there like we are. We got to get to Frisco. We got to find a way to win a couple more, I think, to get to Frisco. But I do like the quality of opponents that we're playing at the end of the year, because I think it's only going to help make us better. We haven't had a chance to build all year. So, you get everybody together, you practice for about 10 days in a row, you play Rice, you clearly get better from day 1 to day 2 in that series. And now we have 2 other good opponents too. So, we're trying to close really hard and make big improvements in a hurry leading into Frisco. And I think the schedule, while difficult, sets us up that if we have the right frame of mind over the next 3 weeks, I think we can really grow as a team. So I think that's the mentality that we need to have. And I think we've got a resilient group. They've proved that all year. And, that's kind of where, I guess they had the day off today, only class, but that's where their focus needs to shift, starting tomorrow, is how we're going to keep moving forward.
On a personal note, since that was the last home game for your squad before you hit the road and then get to the tournament, just how special was it for you? Because senior days are always emotional. It doesn't matter if you have 1 player or 5 players or 10 players. It doesn't matter. It's always emotional. But I think that's the way you want to go out on a senior day.
Yeah, it was great for 2 really important seniors for our program and for Marshall. They represent our athletic department really well, and that's Kristen Mayo from over in Grayson, Kentucky, and Taylor Pearson from Columbus. And they were both instrumental in winning. They were both great down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Kristen kind of hit some shots to get us going at the front end when we were down by about 8 or so, and then Tay hit a huge 3 we were up 1 with, I think, 2 minutes to go in transition, and they just kind of lost her. And, Tay was a tremendous shooter last year, and she just hasn't found it yet this year. But on senior day at home, she was 3 for 4, and the last shot she hit at home was one of the biggest ones of her career. So I'm really proud and appreciative of their time at Marshall. I'm glad that quality of an individual, they both are the same, has come through our program. They take a lot of pride in being at Marshall, graduating from Marshall, and representing our university, and that's exactly the type of people that you want in your program. So it was a great day to go out. 2 really important seniors that we were celebrating, and everybody made sure they came out on top.
Tony Kemper joining us. Okay, so I guess I can let you get back to whatever that other important thing was you had going on.
I'm never going to live that down, am I?
No, you will. You will. I had to put on the fill material because I had
let you down.
I had just
you can tell me
pinned in like, okay, this is going to be a great show because I'm getting Coach on. That means I can just talk, and it's good. And sitting here going, okay, hey, it's a great win. Coach is coming on the show next couple of minutes.
Yeah, maybe
on
the show the next couple of minutes. But
yeah, maybe
I got there. Yeah, it was kind of how we started. I started a little slow for you, but I got there and we closed well. So
That's all we ask for. That's all we ask is to close this show well. And then I guess that means next week we're going to be bringing you back in on Monday to talk. That's going to be the new thing. On Monday, we'll come back and talk about the victories you had on the road this weekend.
I like it. I hope we can go down there and have success. So long trip. We haven't been on a plane all year, so this is the first one. And then hopefully we hit this one, and then we turn right back around a couple weeks later and head back down.
Just practice for the tournament. That's it.
That's right. It's a practice run, trial run.
Too bad you couldn't play the final games in Texas and then go over to the Star. I know there's probably still a gap in between, but just making it a prolonged, extended stay.
Yeah. Well, actually, the great Jason Coyer. We always talk about Jason when I'm on here. He made that suggestion a couple weeks ago. We just need to call the conference and try to get them to move our makeup series to this weekend and move our Denton series to the following weekend so we can just stay down there. But I guess we've already had the flights booked and we've already had everybody else moving around. So we're going to keep it where it's at and try to make it happen anyway.
Don't they realize you just beat Rice 68-56? You should get what you want.
Well, that didn't last for very long. We'll just put it that way. It's kind of like I told you earlier. That one's over, and we're on to the next one. So we got a lot of work to do. We're not quite where we want to be, but this weekend, after the start, it ended pretty well, and we're pretty happy about that.
Tony Kemper, my guest. Congratulations. That's a fantastic win. I knew you would split. I at least figured you were going to get one of those two. I just had a feeling. It's easy for me to say that now, but I knew that you would. They're a good team. I was giving Rice credit. I was giving them credit, but I knew you'd find a way to beat them.
Well, that's kind of what we did. We just found a way, and it was nice. It was a great day around here. So, thanks for having me on, and I look forward to hopefully some more Monday victory conversations.
Let's do it. That'll be our thing. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thank you. See you.
Tony Kemper, head coach of the Thundering Herd. The women get that victory over Rice 68-56. We got more on the way when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Don't worry. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We are presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Special shout out. We're doing some engineering work, so shout out to those of you who are tuned in right now on 92.7 and 98.5 The Planet. Appreciate you guys sticking around. We're going to get that taken care of here shortly, and we'll resume our normally scheduled programming on, again, 92.7 and 98.5 The Planet. It is Monday, February 22nd. We're just a few weeks away from the start of the Conference USA Tournament, the beginning of March Madness, and everything basketball. Of course, baseball is coming up, too, as well. We're finally in that sweet spot. It's starting to feel normal again with the resumption of baseball. We're getting that back at more of a normal schedule. Feels good. And, of course, the men are going to be wrapping up here in the next few weeks with the next couple of series at home at the Henderson Center. It's going to feel good. I think it's going to feel good. Finally get some normal scheduling going here if we can see these games to their conclusion. Herd's taking on North Texas, and then the makeup series is going to be against Charlotte, and we're going to have all those games on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and on 93.7 The Dog, as the Thundering Herd looking to put themselves in a good spot in the Conference USA Tournament. Right now, it's Western Kentucky's tournament to lose, right? Is that what we're talking about? It's their tournament to lose? I think Marshall's going to make it interesting. And, of course, something we were talking about last week, we were talking about who should be Player of the Year in Conference USA. Most of you, this was an informal poll on our group page, The Drive with Paul Swann. It's a group page on Facebook. Informal, but if we're looking at overall Player of the Year, what qualifies for that? Again, bias here, but most of you are saying, no, look, Tavion Kinsey's the best player in Conference USA. But Charles Bassey is making himself hard to deny. And, of course, Western Kentucky just has a better record. Western Kentucky has more games. Western Kentucky probably going to win the regular season crown in Conference USA. So it's going to be hard to deny a player of the year from the team that won the regular season championship. But as far as I'm concerned, the regular season championship doesn't mean anything. Not this year. I mean, all it means to me is that you were able to, with the schedule that was put before you, win, be successful. Because there are some teams that didn't have an opportunity to play a full schedule, or there were some teams that had difficulties. And to be honest, every team has gone through this. Some team has had to deal with COVID. Some team has had to deal with scheduling postponements. Someone every week has to deal with something on a personal level, and some team has had to deal with something on a larger scale, being postponements, just not being able to play due to weather, to health, contact tracing, everything. So I think while it means something, to me, not much. Because I think once we get to the conference tournament, it's win and go home. Win or you go home. And that's what's going to really, I think, be important. But at the same time, tournaments are kind of strange beast themselves or itself because of the fact that anybody can get hot, right? You could have a couple of players get hot and elevate your team. And Marshall could get hot. Marshall could win the tournament. Western Kentucky could be ice cold and not win the tournament. I mean, Old Dominion could get hot, right? Teams that get to the conference tournament, there could be a run by some team and may not be the best team in Conference USA, but at that point in the tournament, put together everything you needed to put together and get that win. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back. We're going to wrap it up here. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Paul Swann, your host, for this Monday, February 22nd. For those of you who follow the program, you know that we're excited for the EA Sports college football video game coming back to a Xbox and a PlayStation near you. Not this season, but probably maybe next season, the year after at the latest. Well, there's one school that might not be part of it, and that's Notre Dame. Notre Dame's athletic director, Jack Swarbrick, said that his school's going to basically sit it out right now. Not going to provide name, logo, other branding properties to EA Sports for the game until new rules that determine whether athletes will be able to receive a cut of the game's profits are finalized. Now, the NCAA has made its intentions well known that it's going to change the rules to allow college athletes the ability to make money from some types of endorsement deals. And there's also been some push, right? This has come up time and time again because of federal and state lawmakers. They have pushed legislation. They're trying to open up similar opportunities. And some of this is going to go into effect soon. And so they're still trying to sort all this out. And right now, Notre Dame is basically saying, look, until this is figured out, we're not in. We're not in because the issue here is student athletes don't have the ability to negotiate right now as a collective group on a price for the use of their names, images, and likenesses. And it's not clear, according to reports, what future rules will allow. But this is interesting because Notre Dame would be giving its trademarks, its images, its everything that goes into recreating a digital Notre Dame. Put Notre Dame in this video game. And if you put Notre Dame in the video game, you're playing as the Fighting Irish. But the players that are going to be in the game, your avatars, your digital representations, not going to be the same players that are actually on the field. Now, I know from years of experience, there are large communities of interested folks who are still, at this time, building rosters for the previous game. NCAA 14, I believe, was the final game. And they're still creating rosters to accurately reflect what the team will look like, or at least a representation. And that was a big issue here, is when I boot the game up, I take the field, I'm Marshall. Hey, my quarterback looks just like Rakeem Cato. My quarterback has similar attributes to Rakeem Cato. And you could go down the list, and that's where this started to become really a big issue. And EA Sports decided, we're done. We're not going to put this together anytime soon. So now they're coming back. They're not even going to use the NCAA brand name. It's going to be EA College Football or EA Sports College Football. And I think you can still get away with this without having to use player likeness, because you're generating random teams, right? You're going to have fake players. Number 12 is going to be somebody. I mean, you would randomize it, right? I don't know how you would go about making sure all of that is up to spec, because you got some large rosters here, but that's the story as it is right now. Notre Dame not in until these laws are a little bit clearer and they're finalized. And that's going to do it for this edition of the show. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch us every day, weekdays 5 to 6, right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Swann. Have a great night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.